turned into a shit show.
And would you look at that? Our old friend Akaike-san showed up to play a part. So you are all working together.
What should we do with them? They're the jerks who hurt Tsukumo-kun, right?
Break every finger on their hand, it still won't make you even. Come on, they may have more on the way. I have an old haunt in mind we move this to, and Mamiya-san's coming with.
Huh?
Let's not cause a scene, okay? I'd hate for a finger to slip and post this video.
Hey, you think this is your personal jail, Yagami? What makes you think you can keep bringing captives here?
Well, it's the safest spot we know. Doesn't it feel good to be such a reliable friend?
Yeah, Higashi, be cool. We won't be around long.
Be cool. You think time's the issue? This is about respect, man.
What you call? We kicking him out?
Oh, quick bit of news, Higashi-san. Kaito-san got shanked in Yokohama.
What? What the fuck? Kaito Aniki? By who?
You'll know once we're done explaining. Let me introduce you to Mamiya-san first. She called up her friends to come after us just a little bit ago.
Yeah. And I'd do it again.
I don't give a shit about that. What happened to Aniki? You better have paid him back already, Yagami. Fuck those RK assholes. And how could Aniki have let him get to him like that?
Now that Higashi-san's up to speed, should we get to it? I imagine Mamiya-san doesn't want to drag this out.
What do you intend to do with me?
First, you'll tell us everything you know. We'll decide how to deal with you afterward.
Iらっしゃいませ。
ありがとうございました。
Then let's get this over with. What do you want to know?
Let's start with the video. Any thoughts you'd care to share? I found it on a flash drive in Kitakata-sensei's room. Or should I say, Kawana's. I take it that means he's the one who recorded it.
Yes.
That means Kawana already knew back then the rest of you were bullies too?
Yes.
If that's the case, then why was Shinya Kawai the only student thrown under the bus for it? Kawana-san didn't show that tape to anyone else?
We had no idea we were even being taped. We didn't find out about the video, or the reason he sat on it so long until way after graduating.
Why exactly did he sit on it for so long?
Kitakata-sensei said he kept it so he could teach us for the rest of our lives.
What?
If that video came out at the time of the incident, I'm sure life would have been hard for us then. After all, Kawai was exposed online, and that would mean millions of yen in compensation for damages.
Yeah, but you guys could have wound up in the same boat.
No. At most we would have come across as dumb kids he roped into helping him. We might have caught some flack, but people would chalk it up to kids and their cliques and move on. But that's only how I would have gone if it had come out while we were still teenagers.
You're saying circumstances are different now?
I have a child now. A husband, an upscale apartment. If the world sees that tape now, I'll lose it all. And what do you think would happen to my son? The son of a woman who drove a kid to attempt suicide? His life would be ruined. That recording is more than kids being cruel. Mitsuru jumped from the school roof that very night and is still in a coma today.
I get it. You have that much more to lose now than when you were a kid.
Same for all my classmates. Kurokawa Academy is a prestigious school, after all. Most graduates go off to great universities and land high-paying jobs. One started his own company. Others have families.
And they're all in your position too, huh? If that video gets out, they lose everything.
Exactly. Do you get it now? He waited for all of us to get what we wanted in life, just so he could threaten to take it all away. And when that time came, he started contacting us. Every student you see in that video.
When was the first time Kawana approached you?
5 years ago. I was out on a walk with my son when he came strolling up out of the blue. At first, I barely recognized him. His eyes were so hollow. Then, without so much as a word, he took out his phone and played that video. He's a psychopath.
Well, all you kids tormenting Mitsuru looked pretty psychopathic to me.
Oh, and you're so perfect. An angel who never once acted out of line. Never lashed out at someone weaker than you, or sided with the group to shut someone out. Everyone does it! We were just lucky enough to have some creep tape us, picking on some kid who couldn't take it. Why did this have to happen to me?
I'd say it's because bad things happen to bad people. You'll sling your barbs from a safe distance, but once you're on the other side of it, you curl up and play victim.
You said it was 5 years ago that Kawana showed you the video? Reminds me of something Shirosaki-sensei was looking into.
What?
There was this guy. I think his name was Shinya Kawai. Something about him getting snatched off the streets about 5 years back.
Then it was you guys. You're the ones who abducted him in Kamurocho and murdered him.
No! It wasn't us! We could never do something like that!
Wasn't us, huh? So you're not denying he was murdered after all? Who was it then?
All Sensei told us was to find Kawai somewhere in Kamurocho, and bring him back with us, no matter what it took.
Did Kawana tell you what he wanted with him?
He needs to be there when you all beg for forgiveness, is all he said. And if we refused, he'd leak the video. So we all went to see Kawai, but he wanted nothing to do with Sensei. Considering he'd cost him everything, that came as no surprise.
But doing nothing would cost the rest of you everything too.
Yes. So we had to force him into our van. After he put up a fight.
Yeah, that lines up with what the local eyewitnesses said. So then what happened? Nobody's heard from the guy since.
We were directed to bring him to a wharf in Yokohama. And that's where we begged for forgiveness. After that, he said we were free to go. All except Kawai.
So you left him there alone with Kawana?
We had to. The day after, I got a message on my phone from Sensei.
What did it say?
Nothing. There was only a video. It was of all of us, pushing Kawai into the van. Turns out he recorded what we did in the city. You can see all our faces so clearly. How we covered Kawai's mouth as he screamed for help. Even if you know all the backstory, the video is a clear-cut abduction. As I was watching it the first time, another message came in. This time, a picture. When I saw it, I just went cold. That's when I knew I would never be able to escape him. It was a picture of Kawhi. Dead. Anyone who saw those messages would think we killed him after shoving him into the van.
And that's how he got his real leverage on his former students.
Since then, we've been at his beck and call. No matter what he tells us to do, we wouldn't dare refuse him.
He's giving you orders?
That man! He forces us to help him. He makes us accomplices to murder.
Murder?
What the hell? Murder who, exactly?
Any bullies involved in suicides. That's who Sensei's got it in for. Anyone he can find across the country. He doesn't even care how old the case is. If a student commits suicide, and bullying is suspected as the cause, he'll turn up. As far as I know, counting Kawhi, I think he's killed at least 7 people.
7? How's he doing this?
So his idea of justice is killing bullies? Across the entire country?
He said that's the only way we can atone. Anyone who drives someone to suicide must always face justice. Until society comes to terms with this, he says we'll keep getting our hands dirty. That way, we might be able to save the next few Mitsurus before it's too late for them.
Not sure I should say this out loud, but I'm kind of rooting for this guy now.
Yeah, let's not.
So was the murder of Hiro Mikoshiba part of that agenda? We know Mikoshiba drove Ihara-san to suicide 4 years prior. That has to be why Kawana let Ihara murder him, and how you found your role in establishing his alibi.
Not just me. Grabbing Mikoshiba required a good number of people. All the people who pinned Ihara down. And even the ones who filmed it, they were working for Sensei.
So that's how it went down.
We had an unspoken agreement that we wouldn't directly take part in any killing. He just makes us his accomplices somehow. Like luring a target or digging a hole for a body. But the one thing we can't ever do is turn him down. If we do, he'll send his video of us abducting Kawhi to the police. And then Kawhi's body will turn up with our fingerprints all over his corpse. And we know that because he's hidden Kawhi's corpse in a freezer somewhere.
He's preserving one of his murder victims?
So as long as he has that, you're wrapped around his finger.
Sounds to me like Kawana's had one thing on his mind for 13 years. Sitting on that video and becoming an Ijincho handyman was all in service of his real motive, killing off bullies. He's dragged all his former students into this hell, until the day it destroys every single one of you.
Is today that day?
We'll see. I'm still curious about a few things though, if you don't mind.
What?
There are these scumbags chasing down Kawana called RK. What part did they play? Strangely enough, they never came up once during your confession. So tell me, why'd they come for Yokosawa?
That I don't know for certain. But Sensei did reach out to Yoko-chan about 6 months ago over the phone. He was asking her about the suicide at Seiryo High.
The suicide at Seiryo High. You must be talking about Toshiro Ehara.
The lawsuit played out like no bullying took place, right? That the school wasn't responsible. But Yoko-chan was a teacher there, and Sensei was able to get the truth out of her.
How'd he do that? What did he say?
From Yoko-chan's perspective, she and Sensei were both just teachers dealing with students attempting suicide. I think that's why she let her guard down and told them everything. After learning the truth, Sensei believed Mikoshiba needed to be held accountable.
So if Sawa-sensei hadn't talked to him, Ihara wouldn't have gotten involved? And none of this would be happening in Ijincho?
Possibly.
No, this isn't right. Sawa-sensei didn't know Kawana's identity or his objectives. She thought she was just talking through her problems with a sympathetic ex-teacher. At the very least, she sure as hell didn't deserve to die for that.
It's not like we're the ones who did it.
Who is it?
Block number. Hello?
Yo, know who this is, Yagami?
Kawana?
Yeah. I heard you're looking for me.
Where are you?
I'm willing to meet you now if you come alone. But you have to let Mamiya go in exchange.
What?
Alright. She's free as soon as I see you.
Works for me. Then come on down to your office. I thought I'd let myself in.
What?
Gotta say, this chair's pretty comfy.
Pretty sure I locked up behind me when I left.
Listen, I'll only meet you alone. No one else. And don't make me wait long, or I could change my mind.
He told me to meet him alone. You can let Mamiya-san go once I confirm he's there.
You gonna be alright by yourself?
Well, he already knows Mamiya-san's with us. I'm guessing he was watching us from somewhere. And I can't afford to do anything that would piss him off enough to make him disappear.
Got it.
Oh, we'll take care of this end of it. Shouldn't you move your ass?
I'll keep an eye on Mamiya-san until you ring. You cool with that?
Oh, we'll take care of this end of it. Shouldn't you move your ass?
Just go already.
Hey, what could this mean? The signal's close.
Hope you don't mind I let myself in. Now, are you gonna hold up your end and release Yui Mamiya? Come on. You and I can either try to make this work, or neither of us is gonna get what we want. So, you gonna make the call or what?
Hello? Yagami-san?
I'm with Kawana. You can let Mamiya-san go.
Got it. Will do.
Sorry about all this, Yagami. Why don't you sit down? Maybe it's time you and I had a heart-to-heart. How's Kaito holding up?
Kaito-san's recovering in the hospital. For now. Sawa-sensei is another story, though.
I can hardly believe it. She was the last person I wanted to get mixed up in all this shit.
If that's the case, why were you already waiting in her apartment? RK's top men were lying in wait over there to get their hands on you. So why was she the one lying on the ground? Answer me, Kawana. Was it because of you?
Would you feel better if it was?
How dare you?
You're thinking that if you hadn't stuck your nose in her affairs, she might be at home grading her papers right now. You tell me, is that what's eating away at you right now? Because if it is, you're mistaken. That guilt is mine alone to bear. It's my burden to carry. When I saw on the news that she had been murdered in cold blood, it felt like the whole world had stopped spinning to me. I would take it all back right now if I could. But unfortunately, to fix this, I'd need to turn the clock back further than you'd think.
You mean back to when you were a school teacher?
Yeah, basically. Back to when I still had a little faith in humanity. Seeing someone's life get cut short, you never really bounce back from it, do you? But I don't have to tell you that. I did my homework on you, Yagami. It seems you were a fairly accomplished lawyer. You even scored a murder acquittal. But we both know how that ended. The death of an innocent young woman. You and I are the same. We both have scars. And they're the type of scars that never fully heal.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
But for Sawa-kun, it was 13 years ago. The very day before Mitsuru Kusamoto jumped, she stopped me in the hall so she could tell me about how serious the bullying really was. Up until that day, I just assumed it was boys being boys, teasing. I figured it was harmless, that they'd get bored with it, and then they'd move on. I mean, come on. Kawai had to have been twice the size of Mitsuru. It's not like I'd seen any fighting. So I warned him not to overdo it. And eventually he would take the hint.
Well, according to what I was told, you smirked, actually.
Yeah. I guess that's what I did. I was too late. Sawa-kun had to point it out. Sensei, how could you be so blind, she asked. Her eyes were this piercing mix of pity and scorn. According to what she told me, nearly half the class was bullying Mitsuru. She said she'd seen him at the station. She made it sound like he had half a mind to jump onto the tracks right then and there. I'm not so presumptuous anymore. But back then, I used to think my students were my biggest fans. I thought I'd won their hearts and minds. But the look on Sawa-kun's face that day made me see the truth. I couldn't just go on smiling like nothing happened. So I decided to do my homework. The next day, I put a hidden camera in the classroom after school.
So you admit that you're the one who recorded that video?
Yeah. You saw it, right?
Talk about the ugly side of kids. Hard to watch, wasn't it? Unfortunately, by the time I picked up the camera and saw what it recorded, Mitsuru had made his jump. I missed him by a few crucial moments. What happened in that classroom was the final straw. Later on, all the bullies were asked what happened. Each and every one of them lied. Kawai started it. It wasn't our idea, they said. To anyone outside of it, all they'd seen was Kawai forcing Mitsuru to do his bidding. So the people held culpable were Kawai and myself. The callous homeroom teacher who deliberately turned a blind eye. That was the day I began living my life with real purpose.
So you couldn't forgive your students who got away with bullying. You went so far, you put aside your own life to make sure they atoned somehow.
That's right. Mitsuru Kusumoto's still a vegetable. He's as good as dead. But I don't care. We have no right to forget about him.
You say that, even though Sawa-sensei ended up paying for it. I'll ask you again. Why were you at her apartment the other day? Don't dodge the question this time.
I wouldn't say I dodged it. But I suppose I should explain from the beginning. 4 years ago, there was a suicide at Sawa-kun's school. It was her own student this time. You know this, right? A student at Seiryo High School? Toshiro Ehara.
Yeah.
When she was in court, Sawa-kun had no choice but to say there wasn't any bullying. Soon as she told me that, I knew Hiro Mikoshiba would be my next target. Of course, she had no idea about any of that. When Sawa-kun learned Mikoshiba had been murdered, though, she reached out to me herself.
What did she want?
She had a sneaking suspicion that I was involved in his death. She called me a few times, prodding carefully for answers. Quite the perceptive lady, really.
And? What kind of answers did you give her?
I denied any knowledge of it, but at one point, she mentioned something kind of odd. That there was a detective at the school already investigating the incident.
Huh?
She meant you, of course. A detective already knee-deep into the case, despite the police barely even knowing about Mikoshiba. The police are a pain in the ass. But when an out-of-town detective comes sniffing around, that's bad. I knew I had to act fast to get you off the trail. Although, Sawa-kun was a problem too. I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone.
And then what?
First, I found out where the two of you would be meeting up, at that little cafe. Then, I hired the Liumang to step in. But you put up one hell of a fight. They had strength in numbers, but you would have taken out the whole group if I hadn't stepped in. Nonetheless, my other message went through. At the same time, Sawa-kun was handed a photo of Mikoshiba's final moments. I left that task to someone you know. Yui Mamiya. They hadn't seen each other in 13 years. Sawa-kun had no idea.
The lady in the sunglasses. Yui Mamiya was involved in that too?
Everything I did that night was intended as a warning to Sawa-kun. Although, I guess I didn't have to be so extreme about it.
Yeah. Sawa-sensei was too smart. She must have started suspecting that you'd had something to do with Mikoshiba's murder. After all, who else could have known we'd be meeting at that cafe? She'd have traced it right back to you.
Even if Sawa-kun had started to suspect me, I knew she wouldn't sell me out to the cops. We're too alike. The both of us lost students to suicide on our watch. That said, I couldn't bear the thought of dragging her down into the mess I started, so I scared her off, and I thought she would stay away. The day she was killed, she called to ask if we could speak in person. I could tell something was wrong. She was on the verge of tears the whole call. Then she broke down. I asked her why, of course, but she wouldn't give me a straight answer no matter how I tried to phrase the question.
So then what? Did you just waltz on over there? It doesn't seem like you.
Watch it. You don't know me well enough to say that.
Maybe. But I assume you had some sort of plan going in. Were you gonna confess to her?
Here's the thing. If she'd figured out that I was behind Mikoshiba, and it didn't sit well with her, I would have told her every last detail. Sawakun knew. I think she would have understood me. Or at least that's what I had believed. In hindsight, I think she was forced to make that call. Under normal circumstances, I'm sure she'd have rather washed her hands of me. Hard as it is to hear, I think she called me under duress. RK probably had her hostage. That would explain the vague responses. That's probably why her voice was trembling. It's tragic.
You mean it was RK? Why do they want you so badly anyway?
I don't know.
What?
If I knew their angle, I'd be doing more than just scurrying around.
You serious?
Believe me, I'm just as clueless as you are, much as I hate to admit it. Honest, I'm not thrilled that a small army wants my head on a platter. Have you noticed how RK seems to show up at the worst possible times? Someone must be pulling their strings.
Then we're on the same page. At least we agree on something.
Just a sec. Yeah. I'm still over here with Yagami-san. You're not being tailed by any of his guys, are you? Okay. Then I'll meet you right now. That was Mamiya-kun. She said she's free. You guys have been true to your word. Tell Sugiura-kun that I said thank you.
Now you want to go? We still have some business to settle here.
Now remember, I'm the handyman here. Let me do the dirty work. I don't know what else to tell you, but you need to get out while you still can.
If you disappear into the night, I don't want to go busting my ass just to find you again. Before you leave, I'll need some contact info. A phone number would be nice.
Oh, no need for that. As far as I'm concerned, this is goodbye.
I wouldn't count on that. Hold up!
Now look at you!
You won't get away!
Now look at you!
Hold up!
Leave me alone! Don't you have anything else in it?
You won't get away!
Leave me alone!
Hold up! You won't get away! Hold up!
back here!
Where'd he go? Kawana! You guys again. You really need the masks? Come on, Kurakawa kids.
You heard that, right? The detective here already knows everything.
Kawana!
What are you going to do now? What do you think happens when he spills everything? Sounds like your lives are over, unless you shut him up.
But Sensei, you'll finish the job for us, right?
Huh? Is that you, Akaike?
Oh, he's even got a name to your voice.
Answer me, Sensei!
I know. I'll be the one to finish it. You just knock him out.
Okay then. Time to learn your lesson!
Come on. What kind of lesson is this?
Let's go!
Kawana? Oh no, Kawana!
Really? So nice of you to stick around. Mamiya-san. Well, since Kawana couldn't stay, sounds like you're not out of the woods just yet, huh?
13 years in the past. Mitsuru Kusumoto plunged himself into a coma, sealing his fate alongside Kawana's. Ridden by guilt, Kawana sets off on a path of vengeance, and the bullies he drags with him are shackled to the shadows. However, Yokosawa's murder serves as a deadly wake-up call to what he's done.
Hey. What are you doing?
Getting your identification on record, so you won't be a threat to us anymore?
What?
And I think you owe us after everything you've done. Expect me to come collect one of these days. Your carriage awaits, Mamiya-san.
Don't tell me we're going back to that dingy arcade.
We sure are. But try not to hold a grudge. It wasn't us who abandoned you. Higashi, you already called Sari-san and the gang, right?
Yeah, I let them know what's up. They said they'll head over when they're ready.
Did Shirosaki-sensei say anything?
Well, she was pretty stunned when I told her who Kuwana really is and what he's up to.
Sounding a little smug there, Higashi-san. Taking credit for the detective work you didn't even do? Back me up here, Yagami-san.
Whatever, man. Kuwana got away, and that's all that matters. Still, the task in front of us is finishing Sari-san's case. We have to clear up Ahara's crime once and for all. With Mamiya-san's help, of course.
Finally, I'm ready to get some answers. Well, we still got time till Shirosaki-sensei gets here. Why don't you take a breather, Yagami-san?
Huh? That'd be okay?
Sure. I'll call you once everyone's here.
Yeah, a break sounds good.
By the way, Higashi, has anything unusual gone down in Kamurocho lately? Anything involving RK?
Yeah, about that. My guys are saying things have been a little too quiet since yesterday. Soma and Akutsu are out in Ijincho too. When they come back, they're in for a rude awakening. And they can pay for what they did to Kaito Aniki.
Make them pay? Aren't your Yakuza days behind you now?
That's not the Yakuza in me talking. That's just a problem I'm gonna be the solution for.
Isn't that exactly what a Yakuza would say?
Fine. Think of it as getting revenge for a brother. I'm doing the right thing, damn it!
Yeah, maybe it's just how you're putting it.
Besides, what's it matter if I was Yakuza? I've got my own code, and I'm gonna do right by me.
Whatever you say. Much as things change, they stay the same.
らっしゃいませ。ありがとうございました。
Hey, Yagami-san, it's Sugiura.
Hey.
Shirosaki-sensei and the others just got to Charles. They're getting ready to grill Mamiya-san.
Got it. Then I'll head back soon.
Thanks.
Really? You too, Genda-sensei?
What? Am I in the way?
Of course not. I didn't know you still did field work.
I figured if they could pull a fast one on Saori-kun, I'd at least want to look him in the eye.
Why are all these people here? What gives?
We've been waiting for you, Yagami-san. Mamiya-san is about to enlighten us on the truth behind the groping.
Good.
Oh, and I heard about Sawa-sensei. I'm so sorry.
Our condolences.
Looks like she got mixed up in all this when RK was chasing after Kawana. But we're still not sure why they chased him. To figure that out, we'll have to retrace Kawana's steps.
Exactly.
That said, let's start with the harassment charges, Mamiya-san.
Fine. Let's get this over with.
Pout all you want, but keep the answers straight. Got it?
Ihara's assault was designed to establish a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. So Kawana had you play the victim, and together you pulled one over on the police and the court.
Can you confirm if this is all accurate so far, please?
Yeah.
The person who groped you on the train wasn't Ihara-san himself. It was his stand-in. And my understanding is that he had conspirators to help him fabricate this event?
That's right.
What was Kawana doing at the time? Was he in Ijinsho or Tokyo?
Didn't you hear your lady friend? Ihara-san had a stand-in. And that stand-in was our sensei.
You mean Kawana posed as Ihara himself? So this Ihara was actually Kawana. Huh.
Sensei and Ihara-san have a pretty similar build. Not sure they could have pulled it off otherwise, you know?
But some spots don't look right, like his mouth. You sure that's really Kawana-san?
That part around his mouth is fake. He said he scanned Ihara-san's face and made it on a 3D printer.
Oh, huh.
You can print things in 3D now?
Well, it's a machine that takes a model's data from a computer and prints physical objects using materials like resin. So if you were to scan a person's face onto a computer, a 3D printer could accurately recreate it.
I don't know the details, but that's what Sensei used to become Ihara-san.
Something like this. See, with a 3D printer, a piece of a face is pretty easy to make.
What the hell?
I see. His eyes are hidden behind the sunglasses, and the seams on his jaw are obscured by the mask.
It's incredible, I must say. With the mouth area so visible, it's too convincing to think he's anybody else. And with the prosecution assuming he's just another sexual predator, they fell for it.
This is no time to be impressed. In case you forgot, he had the defense fooled too.
Right.
Assuming Kawana was Ihara's double, there's still some evidence I'm iffy about.
I'm of the same opinion.
Okay. Which evidence is questionable?
How about this, then?
What's this? A map of the station?
We made a diagram of Shinjuku Station. The platform's packed with cameras, but take a closer look and you'll notice a small blind spot.
We've all been looking into it. So, let's say Ihara murdered Mikoshiba and faked his alibi at the station. If that was the case, then after Ihara had his stand-in do the deed, they would have swapped at this blind spot. Sound about right?
Is I give up what you're looking for? You figured it out. You win. What more do you want?
Any thoughts after seeing this?
Stop it.
You're gonna look away? You aided and abetted by playing the victim, didn't you?
I mean, yes.
Who put this video up on the internet?
Sensei did. He said from the start that once Ihara-san got his guilty verdict, he'd upload it to the internet.
So that was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Sensei can't forgive the law for how easy it lets off bullies. Ihara-san's the same way. His son's death was brushed aside. The court blamed his suicide on unknown factors. And that's what led them to his whole plan. The real victim is some bully who never got what he deserved, and the killer gets off in court by being convicted of battery. How would the public respond after finding out they'd gamed the law like that?
So Kawana and Ahara's real plan was to make a mockery out of the justice system.
Seems to be going well for them. The courts are beside themselves for dragging the police into this.
I guess Ahara really was desperate. He was never concerned about his own punishment. He tarnished his own name to humiliate the law.
Yeah, cop or not, Ahara is a broken man. Nobody took responsibility for his son's death, and the courts all but ignored his case. No wonder he went along with Kawana.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Sensei and Ihara-san are the perfect pair with nothing to lose. The only ones who do are the ones forced to comply. Us. Speaking of which, are we done here yet?
This piece of the puzzle still needs an explanation.
Is that...
The police examined the trace evidence on Ahara's hands after he was caught. And from the analysis, the same fibers from Mamiya-san's undergarments were found on Ahara's hands.
That's right. If the stand-in was the groper, Ihara-san wouldn't have touched Mamiya-san at all. But the evidence on Ihara-san's hands suggests otherwise. Rather strange, isn't it?
I take it there was a trick to this, too?
That's simple. Before I got on the train, I met with the real Ihara-san at the underground platform. That's when I had him touch the undergarment. After that, all I had to do was go to the bathroom and put them on. That's where the fibers in the trace were from. What the police found on Ihara-san's hands was exactly what we wanted them to find. And it would serve as hard proof he grabbed me. The courts really ate it up. It was hard not to laugh sometimes, to be honest.
You're really starting to open up. That's the spirit. This came out pretty clearly.
Uh-huh.
So the guy in the back is Kawana posing as Ahara, right?
Yes. And he actually didn't lay a finger on me. His prints couldn't show up.
Sounds like you had a hell of a time getting this set up.
I didn't. But Sensei sure did.
How about this, then?
And this is?
Before the incident, Ahara used this card to go through the ticket gate at Ikebukuro, the time of which was recorded.
Right, and it was on October 7th at 7:43 a.m.
Thanks, Hoshino-kun.
Happy to help, Yagami-san.
At the earliest, Mikoshiba's time of death would have been 7:30 a.m. If Ahara killed Mikoshiba in Ijincho, he would have only had 13 minutes to get to Ikebukuro. And frankly, that's impossible.
That's what's stumping you?
Huh?
Sensei borrowed the card from Ihara-san beforehand and passed through the gate. Afterward, he slipped it back to Ihara-san when they switched places. That way, Ihara-san ended up having the time-stamped card on him. Makes sense now?
So even the entry time through the ticket gate was used as part of the alibi?
It all seems so obvious now that I hear it. Nobody'd suspect that a groping was being used as an alibi for murder.
Yeah. And on top of all that, no one knew Mikoshiba had been killed during the trial. They really pulled it off.
Anything else?
Yagami-san, you sure that's enough?
Yeah, I think we've got plenty. Bottom line, groping was a fabrication. At the very least, we know that the prosecution's evidence can all be refuted.
The courts were being intentionally misled. I'm considering filing an appeal.
Are you saying you want a retrial?
I am. We'll reveal Ahara and Kuwana's plot and overturn the verdict they issued.
That might be harder than it sounds.
Why do you say that, Genda-sensei?
Well, the previous trial resulted in Ahara being found guilty, right? As the client, if he doesn't want an appeal, there's no way you're getting one. Doesn't matter what any lawyer tries to do. If Ahara refuses to appeal, then that's that.
And we'll talk to him tomorrow. First, we need to see how he reacts to everything we've got on him.
Sounds good. Then let's meet at the detention center tomorrow.
Will do.
So, we done for the night?
Sure are. Great job, everyone. Go get some rest.
Yo, Yagami. You sure it was cool to let that Mamiya chick just go home?
Yeah? Why?
I mean, she helped Kuwana kill all those people. Aren't you gonna turn her in or something?
I would. There's nothing we can do.
Nothing we can do?
Frankly, we don't have any proof of the murder she was talking about.
What, so this is all for nothing?
Nothing directly pointing to Mamiya, anyway. Aside from Mikoshiba, no other bodies turned up. Which means all we can do is take her home, right? Sugiura is making sure she gets back safe.
Fine, forget it. Why are you still here? Everyone else went home already.
Come on, man, why the cold shoulder? Am I really that annoying?
You wouldn't be the guy I'd call to hang out with. So if you're done, then go.
Wow. Straight for the jugular, huh?
But if it's help you need, I'll be there. I've had nothing but time lately. But only if you bow your head and ask nice. Then I'll consider it.
I know for a fact you'd help me out regardless, so why waste a good bow? Thanks for the drink.
Dude, come on. That was your cue to bow and ask nice.